Welcome to Sleep with Myth. Tonight we enter a green hush, the place where rain finishes its sentences and light learns to move slowly. Here, the forest keeps what the world forgets. It stores summers in rings of wood, winters in the patience of bark, and the names of those who once listened in a soil that forgives. You arrive at the edge just as evening loosens the day's last knots. The path in does not announce itself. It is simply the place where grass decides to become memory. Moss gathers at the first step like a grandmother arranging blankets. The leaves above are not a ceiling but a choir holding its breath before the first note. You stand still long enough to become a tree badly pretending not to be. Breath lowers into the belly, into the understory of your body. The forest answers with a pressure so gentle it could be mistaken for absence. It is not absence. It is welcome. Roots speak first. Not with words, but with a grammar older than salt. A trade of sugars, a treaty of shade, a parliament of sap. Underground, a web of kindness flickers. Fungi carry messages like lantern-bearers moving through tunnels of loam. Beech asks oak if the young maple is hungry. Oak sends sweetness without asking for a reason. The forest is not a competition. It is a choreography practicing survival as generosity. A small wind, respectful as a guest, lifts the fringes of fern and then stands back. You begin to hear the slow clock of resin, the private talk of rain left inside needles. Somewhere far into the cathedral, a cedar remembers lightning without bitterness. The scar is not a wound anymore. It is an alphabet. You kneel and place your palm on the ground. Warmth rises, not heat, but the proof that time gathers. Beneath your hand, the rootwork thrums like a low drum you can only hear when you stop playing every other instrument. The drum says, "Stay long enough to be kept. You have brought nothing to trade except attention. That is enough." The forest has never been impressed by riches. It is impressed by those who leave what they took and take what they were offered. Breath in, breath out, gratitude both ways. A memory arrives, not yours. You are a seed hidden in a sleeve of paper, carried in the pocket of a coat that smells like rain and smoke. The pocket swings as someone walks, and each sway is a mile. At a clearing, the paper splits. The hand opens. Darkness receives you. Winter sits down beside you like a patient teacher. When thaw finally comes, it does not come loudly. It comes as instructions only roots can read. Back in your body, light has changed color. It is not gold, not green, but a compromise the canopy invented. Dust hangs in it like small planets deciding their orbits. You step deeper. The path becomes softer in proportion to your willingness to notice. The forest rewards the unhurried with a vocabulary. Lichen offers the word for map. A snail writes the verb to continue. A fallen log, furred with moss and the brave beginnings of next year, gives you the adjective for enough. At a bend, you find a place where the ground opens its secrets a little wider. It is not a spring, not exactly, but water gathers here the way thoughts gather inside a listening face. You crouch and see your reflection made of leaves and sky. It does not look like you. It looks like the person you are when no one needs anything from you. The pool says, "I will hold what you do not need to carry back out." So you sit down. The sentence you wish you had said differently, the hour that frayed, the small envy that tried to grow into a vine. The water takes each without forming opinions. Ripples translate burden into belonging and pass it downstream to the slow archives where silt keeps all stories at the same volume. A thrush begins. Not a performance, an announcement that here is safety enough to sing. The notes are made of distance folded small. They curve between trunks as if the air had hinges. You do not clap. You remember instead that the correct reply to blessing is use. You sit on a nurse log. Once a tree, now a school for 100. It is velvet with moss, jeweled with tiny caps of mushroom, ribbed with the honest architecture of decay. You run a hand along its side and feel the soft geometry of return. Nothing is wasted here, least of all endings. The forest excels at turning finish into food. From the ferndark, a hush leans closer, the sense that the forest wishes to speak in a tone you only hear at the edge of sleep. You close your eyes and the map of your body changes scale. Fingers become small roots tasting the weather of wood. Spine becomes a young trunk negotiating with wind. Behind your sternum a clearing forms. Something steps into it. Not a figure. A field of intention. The forest gathers itself into an almost shape so you may understand. It greets you with the pressure of a hand that does not need to be seen to be believed. The greeting says, "You are not outside of this. You are one of our ways to know the sky. You breathe, and 1,000 needles breathe with you. You exhale, and somewhere a fox decides to trust the path it has used since the snow was a teacher. You inhale, and the long patience stored in rings remembers that you, too, are made of weather given a chance to stay. A question rises, not asked by you, asked for you. What is it to dream as Earth does? The answer arrives in 4 slow parts. The forest teaches by seasons. First, to dream is to store. In a ring of wood, each drought and festival, each wind and mercy, kept without hierarchy. Memory as a circle, not a verdict. Second, to dream is to send. Sugars moving from plenty to need, from elder to sapling, from last year's loss to next year's leaf. Imagination as a bridge you build and never cross alone. Third, to dream is to shed. Bark loosening where growth demands a new word for protection. Shadow falling where seedlings require an hour of sun. Identity as mulch. Fourth, to dream is to stand. Not as defiance, as availability, a place for birds to anchor their songs, a text for lichens to annotate, a map for wind to read kindly. You open your eyes with the feeling that a long, gentle sentence has finished. Twilight has arranged the trees into silhouettes that know they do not need to be anybody else. Fireflies kindle along the path like punctuation decided at the last moment by a generous editor. It is time to leave, which is to say, time to keep. The forest never asks you to stay. It asks you to return correctly. You stand, lighter by what you put down, heavier by what you learn to carry well. As you step back toward the edge, a branch lowers into your reach. You touch it like you would touch a friend's shoulder when words are too small. At the threshold, night raises its gentle veil. The meadow receives you. The sky looks newly washed. In your lungs, the green hush lingers, the flavor of chlorophyll turned into permission. Walking home, you notice that every street tree is a paragraph, every hedge a parenthesis, every patch of grass an ellipsis inviting patience. You reach your door and pause the way you did at the pool, just long enough to remember the sentence you learned today. The heart of the forest is not a place but a practice. A long conversation between roots and light, carried by those willing to listen longer than they speak. Rest now. The roots will hold their end of the promise. All that is asked of you is breath given and breath received. Leaf simple, ring true. The forest did not sleep when night came. It dreamed. The stars above were not distant lights. They were seeds scattered across a dark field, and the trees below reached up not to touch them, but to remember. For every spark in the sky, there was a whisper in the leaves. The wind carried questions, and the branches answered in rustling syllables. Tonight the forest was gathering. The council of leaves was about to begin. You feel it first as a rhythm beneath your ribs. Slow, deliberate, older than language. The ground hums with the memory of rain. Around you, trunks rise like pillars in a cathedral no human built. Fireflies drift through the air, soft as sighs, marking invisible paths between roots and stars. A deep voice moves through the canopy, not with sound but with gravity. It speaks in meanings rather than words, and still you understand. The world is loud again, says the oak. The dreams of the earth grow faint. The birch, pale as moonlight, responds, but not forgotten. They return with each breath that listens. Then, one by one, the trees awaken. Their voices merge, not in argument, but in remembering. The willow speaks of sorrow turned to shelter. The pine recalls mountains learning patience. The cedar hums a low song of smoke and endurance. Together, they form a harmony that could mend anything that remembers how to listen. You step closer to the clearing, where the light feels like thought, soft, circular, forgiving. The ground glows faintly with veins of bioluminescent moss, each pulse keeping time with the heartbeat of the forest. A question arises, as if the leaves themselves are asking it. Why do humans forget? The question drifts toward you like falling ash. You open your mouth, but no answer comes. And then you hear the reply, not from yourself, but through yourself. Because we were taught to look, not to see, to build, not to belong. The forest accepts this truth without anger. It rustles once, the sound of forgiveness moving through miles of green. The birch sighs, bending toward you. His voice is wind and moonlight together. Then remember now. Remember through silence. The council continues, not a meeting of power, but of patience. Each leaf contributes a thought, each root a memory. The forest speaks in the language of inclusion. For a moment you are not separate. You are a leaf, a thought, a pause in an endless breath. And in that stillness, something ancient stirs deep within the soil. A heartbeat, slow and wide as time itself. The dream of the earth continues, and tonight it remembers your name. There is a sound beneath silence, not the absence of noise, but the heartbeat of everything that waits to be understood. The forest knows this song. It began long before wind learned to whisper, before rivers spoke in riddles. It began in the weight of stone, the slow, patient dreaming of mountains, the quiet faith of minerals waiting to become soil. You wake before dawn, in the gray hour when light does not yet remember its purpose. The ground beneath you hums, low, steady, ancient. You press your hand into the moss, and the pulse rises through your palm, up your arm into your chest. The song is deep. It does not ask to be heard. It asks to be felt. Beneath the roots and bones of the world, the stones are singing. Not in words, but in memory. Each note is a promise kept. Each vibration a reminder that time is not a river but a circle, and everything that was lost has only changed shape. You follow the hum down a narrow path lined with sleeping ferns. The air thickens, soft with fog. At the base of a hill you find a clearing ringed with black stones. Ancient, smooth, shaped by patience alone. In the center stands a single boulder, marked by veins of silver light that pulse like a heartbeat. You kneel. The air tastes of rain that has not yet fallen. And then, a voice, not from the sky, not from the wind, but from the earth itself. It says, "All that breathes must listen." The sound fills your ribs like a tide. It speaks through vibration, not language. You understand without translating. The earth is reminding you that stillness is not silence. It is the first step of creation. As you listen, images unfold in your mind. Trees as veins, rivers as breath, mountains as bones. The forest is not a place but a body, dreaming itself alive. And you are not a visitor. You are one of its thoughts. For a long moment you sit in reverent stillness. The pulse of the stone aligns with your own heartbeat. When you finally open your eyes, dawn has arrived, gentle, golden, forgiving. The stones no longer glow, but the song remains within you. The forest exhales, and the day begins as if it had been waiting for you to remember how to wake. Night returns, soft as the breath of the earth itself. You are deep within the forest now, where sunlight no longer visits, and yet there is light. It comes from within the roots, faint veins of silver and gold winding beneath the soil like memories glowing in sleep. The air is thick with the scent of moss and rain that has yet to fall. You kneel once more, pressing your hand to the cool ground, and feel the world breathing under your palm. Each inhale is the forest remembering. Each exhale is you. Beneath the surface, roots travel farther than branches ever will. They reach into stone and water, into the silence where everything begins again. The deeper they go, the more they remember, not darkness, but distance. In the stillness, you hear it, a murmur rising through soil, a song too slow for ears, too ancient for words. The roots are speaking. They do not talk of the earth. They talk of the sky. Once, long before your time, the first forests learned how to dream upward. Each root, sunk deep into the shadow of time, held a reflection of the heavens. Each tree, no matter how buried in dusk, carried a memory of light, not of what it had seen, but of what it was. The roots whisper, "We do not grow toward the sky. We remember it." You close your eyes, and the forest unfolds like a mind remembering itself. You see rivers as threads of thought. You see mountains as sleeping gods, still waiting for names. And above it all, the roots become stars, turning slowly through the dark soil of creation. The forest teaches you something wordless, that remembering and reaching are the same act. To grow is not to escape the ground, but to bring the sky closer. You begin to breathe with the rhythm of the trees. Each breath pulls the earth upward. Each exhale releases the weight of forgetting. The silence deepens, full and alive. You realize that somewhere in the spaces between your heartbeats, a root has recognized you. It will hold your memory now. Long after your voice becomes soil, your story will hum through the roots as a single note of belonging. The wind moves above, barely touching the canopy. 1,000 leaves tremble in agreement, and the forest hums its final verse. The roots remember the sky, because the sky never forgot the earth. You open your eyes, and for the first time you understand, light does not descend, it rises from below. The dawn belongs to the roots as much as it does to the sun. Dawn unfolds slowly through the branches, like light remembering its name. The air is soft with dew and the scent of pine. Each droplet on a leaf becomes a small mirror, holding the entire world inside it, sky, earth, and you. The forest stirs. Roots hum beneath your feet. Leaves stretch toward the sun like lungs filling with memory. You realize that the entire forest breathes as one being. Not thousands of trees, but a single vast organism dreaming itself alive. You sit at the base of an old elm. Its bark is rough, warm, familiar. Beneath it, sap moves like thought, slow, certain, kind. The tree is not in a hurry to speak. It has all the time in the world. When it finally does, it speaks through rhythm, not words. The wind carries its message across branches, translating it into sound. Life is not a chain. It is a circle. You close your eyes. The forest is a pulse now, and you are part of it. The rhythm passes through you like a tide. In, out, a heartbeat older than oceans. The song deepens. You begin to see through the forest's memory. You see the first seeds falling through ancient rain, the first moss spreading across the stone. You see centuries breathing, the rise and fall of creatures whose bones became soil. Every ending here has always been another beginning. A hawk circles high above the canopy. Its wings catch sunlight, scattering golden dust through the mist. Below, a fox moves silently, its paws leaving no sound. Both predator and prey in the same motion. Balance hums through everything. You realize this harmony is not peace because nothing happens. It is peace because everything happens. Every flutter, every fall, every decay is part of a language the forest speaks fluently. The elm's pulse reaches deeper now, intertwining with yours. It shows you the pattern beneath patterns. Roots in soil, rivers in veins, stars in eyes. You understand that there is no separation, only echo, life teaching itself how to begin again. The air brightens. Morning has come fully now. Sunlight filters through 1,000 leaves, transforming darkness into slow-moving gold. Each beam touches your skin as if it recognizes you. You breathe in, and the scent of the forest fills you. Green, wet, alive. You breathe out, and the world answers. For a brief, impossible moment, you feel everything beating together. Tree, moss, water, breath, light. The forest's pulse becomes your own. And in that rhythm, you finally understand the oldest secret. To be alive is not to move forward. The forest sleeps, not in silence, but in music too soft for most to hear. It is the hush of sap in the veins of trees, the slow turning of soil as roots breathe, the pulse of life resting, not ending, only returning inward. You stand within it, a single heartbeat among millions. The air glows faintly green, as though dawn has forgotten to leave. Every leaf, every stone, every unseen creature is part of one endless inhalation. And for the first time you understand, the forest is dreaming. Not of sky, not of rain. It dreams of you. You walking softly through its body. You remembering that breath is the oldest language. You becoming quiet enough for the world to keep speaking through you. The dream deepens. The roots hum. The leaves whisper to one another in syllables of light. The river slows, curling around the rocks as if tucking itself in. Even the wind gentles, brushing your hair like a hand that remembers. Then, through that stillness, a voice not loud, not near, but everywhere at once. You are the forest. You do not move. The truth needs no reaction. It needs remembering. You close your eyes, and the edges of your body soften. Bark becomes skin, breath becomes wind. Thought becomes moss spreading quietly into dark places. You are not dreaming of the forest, you are the forest dreaming of itself. In the distance, thunder rolls once. Not warning, but promise. Rain begins to fall. Not heavily, but kindly, each drop striking leaves like notes in an ancient hymn. The sound weaves through the canopy, a lullaby for everything that grows. As the rain deepens, the air thickens with renewal. The forest sighs, a sound that feels like forgiveness. Every drop carries memory. The seed, the soil, the sun, the sky, all of them return now, folding into one another. You tilt your head upward, letting the rain find your face. It is cool, endless, and kind. You can feel the earth breathing beneath you, slow and vast. The pulse of the forest is steady. The dream continues. You whisper not to be heard but to belong. Thank you. A breeze answers, not in words but in warmth. The forest accepts your gratitude the way it accepts the seasons, gently, without question. Light begins to change. The storm fades to silver mist. Somewhere far above, the sky opens, blue and endless, but you no longer feel small beneath it. You are part of its rhythm now. You breathe in earth, water, air, memory. You breathe out silence, gratitude, peace. The forest's dream becomes your own. And as you close your eyes, you understand that sleep is not escape. It is return. The forest will keep dreaming through you, and when you wake, the world will wake with you. Thank you for listening to Sleep with Myth. May your dreams find their way back to the heart of the forest.